Rain-drenched Brooklyn, turning streets into mirrors of flickering neon. Jonas Quillan, a weathered NYPD K9 officer at 58, stood by his patrol car, his German Shepherd, Vanguard, alert beside him. Jonas's face, etched with years of duty, hid a storm of unease. That morning, he'd found a letter in an attic cigar box, penned by his estranged sister, Elowen Starrett. Her words, sharp as a blade, read, **, Jonas. There's a truth about Dad you must know. Meet me, **, after 20 years of silence. Her message stirred guilt and dread, pulling Jonas back to a childhood shadowed by their father, Patricius Quillan. Jonas and Elowen had once been inseparable, two kids navigating a cramped Queens apartment under Patricius's stern gaze. A dock worker, he was all whiskey and silence, leaving scars neither sibling discussed. A bitter fight in their 30s, over money, pride, or something lost to time, had driven Elowen to California, leaving Jonas with his badge and Vanguard. Now, her letter cracked open a past he'd buried. Why now? What could she know about their father, dead 10 years? Jonas's chest tightened, his thoughts far from the rain-soaked night. His radio crackled. Unit 17, 23rd, and Flatbush. Suspicious activity. Jonas scratched Vanguard's ears. Let's go, boy. The dog's eyes gleamed with purpose, unlike Jonas's weary heart. They drove through slick streets, the letter's weight heavier than the rain. At the scene, a bodega's neon glow lit a group of teens under an awning. Vanguard growled softly, sensing Jonas's distraction. Anything suspicious? Jonas asked, his voice gruff but distant, his mind on Elowen's words. A flicker in the alley caught his eye, a small figure no older than 10, clutching a frayed backpack. The boy's wide, fearful eyes met Jonas's before he bolted. Stay, Jonas told the teens, signaling Vanguard to follow. The alley was a maze of dumpsters and shadows. Jonas's flashlight found the boy, trembling, his curls damp with rain. What's your name, kid? Jonas asked, crouching low. Leander. Leo? The boy whispered, gripping his pack like a lifeline. Those eyes, Leander's eyes, hit Jonas like a memory. They held the same fear he'd seen in Elowen's face as kids, hiding from Patricius's temper. Vanguard sat calm, sensing no threat, but Jonas's heart raced. Leander Zane wasn't just a runaway. He was a mirror to a past Jonas couldn't escape. The radio buzzed again. Unit 17 status? Duty called, but Leander's gaze held him. Something about this boy felt like fate. Jonas's hand hovered over the radio. Protocol demanded he report in, but Leander's trembling frame begged him to stay. What was this kid running from, and why did it feel like Jonas's own ghosts were staring back? The rain battered Jonas Quillan's shoulders as he stood in the alley, his flashlight beam fixed on Leander Zane's trembling form. The boy's eyes, wide and haunted, stirred something in Jonas, a memory of Elowen at that age, clutching a book to hide her fear of Patricius's rage. Vanguard sat steady, his fur slick with rain, watching Leander with a calm that contrasted Jonas's churning thoughts. The radio crackled again. Unit 17, report. But Jonas's hand stayed frozen. Duty tugged at him, yet Leander's desperate grip on his backpack felt like a plea he couldn't ignore. What was this kid hiding? Leo, talk to me, Jonas said softly, his voice barely rising above the rain. What's in the bag? Leander's lips quivered, but he stayed silent, his small frame shrinking into the shadows. Jonas saw himself in the boy's defiance, the same stubborn streak that had kept him and Elowen alive through their father's storms. A flash of memory hit. Elowen, 12, hiding a photo of their mother under her pillow, a secret Patricius never knew. Was Leander protecting something just as precious? The alley's gloom deepened as Jonas crouched closer, Vanguard inching forward, nose twitching. I ain't a bad guy, Leo, Jonas said, his Brooklyn accent thick with sincerity. Leander's gaze flicked to Vanguard, softening slightly. He's cool, the boy muttered, nodding at the dog. Jonas managed a half-smile, but his mind raced. Elowen's letter burned in his pocket. A truth about Dad. Had Patricius hidden something that could connect to this kid, this moment? Footsteps splashed behind them. Detective Mordecai Mo Valenti appeared, his flashlight cutting through the rain. "Jonas, what's the holdup?" Mo's voice was sharp, his eyes narrowing at Leander. "Just a kid," Jonas said, standing to shield Leo. Mo's brow furrowed, sensing Jonas's hesitation. "We got a call to handle. Let's move." Jonas nodded, but his feet didn't budge. Leander's eyes locked on his, a silent plea that felt like a tether to a past Jonas couldn't outrun. "Give me a minute, Mo," Jonas said, his tone firm but distant. Mo sighed, glancing at Leander with suspicion. "Don't get soft, Quillan. Not now." As Mo stepped back, Jonas's thoughts spiraled to Elowen. Her letter mentioned a meeting tomorrow at a diner in Queens. What truth could she hold about Patricius that still mattered? And why did Leander feel like a piece of that puzzle? Jonas looked down at Leander, rain dripping from his cap. "You got a place to go, kid?" Leander shook his head, clutching the backpack tighter. Vanguard whined softly, as if sensing a storm bigger than the one overhead. Jonas's heart sank. He couldn't leave this boy, not when something told him Leander's secret might unravel his own. The alley's shadows clung to Jonas Quillan as he knelt before Leander Zane, rain soaking his NYPD uniform. Vanguard's steady presence grounded him, but Leander's guarded eyes, fierce yet fragile, tugged at memories of Elowen hiding from their father's wrath. Jonas's radio buzzed, ignored, as Mo Valenti's impatient glare lingered from the alley's mouth. "Leo, you gotta trust me," Jonas urged, his voice low, almost pleading. Leander clutched his backpack tighter, its frayed edges hinting at secrets too heavy for a boy so young. What was he protecting, and why did it feel like Jonas's own past? Leander's silence was a wall, but his gaze softened when Vanguard nudged his hand, tail thumping softly. "He likes you," Jonas said, seizing the moment. "So do I. But I need to know what's going on." Leander hesitated, then whispered, "It's mine. They can't take it." His words echoed Jonas's childhood defiance, when he'd hidden a baseball glove from Patricius's temper. A flash of Elowen's letter surfaced, a truth about Dad. Could Leander's burden somehow tie to that? Mo's voice cut through the rain. "Jonas, we're late. Captain's gonna chew us out." Jonas waved him off, his focus on Leander. The boy's curls clung to his forehead, his small frame shivering. Jonas's mind raced. Protocol demanded he report the kid to social services, but something deeper screamed to protect him. Elowen's cryptic words gnawed at him. Had Patricius left a legacy of pain that reached beyond their family? "Touching this boy? Kid, where's your family?" Jonas asked, his tone gentle but firm. Leander's eyes dropped, a shadow crossing his face. "Ain't got none," he muttered, the lie as clear as the rain on his cheeks. Jonas felt a pang, remembering Elowen's departure to California, leaving him alone with their father's ghosts. Vanguard whined, sensing the tension, his loyalty split between duty and Jonas's heart. Leander's backpack, heavy with mystery, seemed to hold answers Jonas couldn't yet grasp. Mo stepped closer, his patience fraying. "Jonas, you're too deep in this. Let's go." But Jonas's eyes stayed on Leander, whose fear mirrored his own as a boy, hiding from Patricius's belt. Elowen's letter burned in his pocket. Tomorrow's meeting loomed, promising truths he wasn't sure he wanted. Was Leander a coincidence, or a key to unlocking his family's buried pain? Jonas stood, rain dripping from his cap, and extended a hand. "Come with me, Leo. You're safe." Leander hesitated, then nodded, his grip on the backpack unyielding. Vanguard rose, ready to follow, but a distant shout from the street froze them all. Someone was coming, someone who knew Leander, and they didn't sound friendly. Rain pounded the alley as Jonas Quillan stood over Leander Zane, whose small frame trembled under the weight of his backpack. Vanguard's ears pricked at the shout echoing from the street, a harsh voice cutting through the storm. Jonas's heart raced, his instincts torn between his duty as an NYPD officer and the urge to shield this boy, whose fearful eyes mirrored Elowen's from decades past. Leander's words, "They can't take it," rang in Jonas's mind, intertwining with Elowen's letter about their father, Patricius. Was this boy's secret somehow linked to the Quillan family's buried pain? "Stay behind me, Leo," Jonas whispered, his hand resting on Vanguard's collar. The dog's low growl signaled danger, his loyalty unwavering. The shout came again, closer now, laced with anger. "Leo, where you at?" The voice was rough, male, and carried a threat that made Leander flinch. Jonas's thoughts flashed to his childhood, hiding with Elowen from Patricius's drunken rages. He couldn't abandon this boy, not when every fiber of his being screamed to protect him. Detective Mo Valenti emerged from the shadows, his flashlight sweeping the alley. "Jonas, we gotta move. That's no random kid. You're in over your head." Mo's warning was sharp, but Jonas's gaze stayed on Leander, whose hands clutched the backpack like a lifeline. The boy's defiance hid a fear Jonas knew too well, a fear rooted in secrets too heavy to bear. Elowen's letter burned in his pocket, its promise of truth about Patricius looming like a storm cloud. The footsteps grew louder, splashing through puddles. A figure appeared at the alley's mouth, a tall man, his face obscured by a hood, his voice dripping with menace. "Leo, you little thief, I see you." Leander shrank back, pressing against the wall. Jonas stepped forward, Vanguard at his side, his badge a shield but his heart racing with doubt. Was this man after Leander's backpack or something deeper? The mystery of Patricius's past felt closer than ever, as if Leander held a key Jonas couldn't yet see. "Back off," Jonas barked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. The man paused, sizing him up, then sneered. "You don't know what you're messing with, cop." Mo grabbed Jonas's arm, urging retreat, but Jonas couldn't move. Leander's eyes, wide with terror, locked onto his, pleading for salvation. Elowen's meeting tomorrow promised answers, but tonight, this boy was his mission. Vanguard snarled, sensing the threat, as the man took a step closer. Jonas's hand hovered over his radio, duty clashing with instinct. Leander's backpack, heavy with secrets, seemed to pull him deeper into a past he'd fled. Then, a second voice called from the street, a woman's, desperate, familiar. "Leo, please. Who was she, and what did she know about the boy's burden?" Rain lashed the alley as Jonas Quillan shielded Leander Zane. The boy's trembling frame pressed against the wall. Vanguard's growl deepened, his eyes locked on the hooded man advancing through the storm. The woman's voice, desperate, familiar, echoed again. "Leo, please." Jonas's heart pounded, torn between his NYPD duty and the instinct to protect this boy, whose haunted eyes mirrored Elowen's from their childhood under Patricius Quillan's shadow. Leander's backpack, heavy with secrets, seemed to tie him to Jonas's past, to Elowen's cryptic letter about their father's hidden truth. The hooded man stopped, his sneer faltering as Vanguard bared his teeth. "You're making a mistake, cop," he spat, but Jonas held his ground, his hand steady on his holster. Leander's small hand gripped Jonas's sleeve, a silent plea that cut deeper than the rain. Memories flooded Jonas. Elowen, young and scared, hiding a locket their mother left behind. A secret Patricius never knew. Was Leander's burden a similar relic, a key to the truth Elowen promised tomorrow? Detective Mo Valenti's flashlight swept the scene, his voice sharp. "Jonas, call it in. This ain't your fight." But Jonas's eyes stayed on Leander, whose whispered, "They'll hurt her," sent a chill down his spine. "Her?" The woman's voice rang again, closer now, raw with panic. Jonas's mind raced. Elowen's letter, Leander's fear, this mysterious woman. Were they all threads of the same tangled past, woven by Patricius's unspoken sins? The woman emerged from the rain, her face pale, eyes wide with desperation. "Leo, it's me!" she cried, her voice cracking. Serafina Zane, Leander's mother, looked worn beyond her years, her gaze flicking between the boy and the hooded man. Jonas saw the resemblance. Leander's curls, her haunted eyes. But there was something else, a flicker of recognition that stirred unease. Did Serafina know Elowen? Or worse, Patricius? "Back off, lady," the hooded man snarled, stepping toward Serafina. Vanguard lunged forward, a warning bark echoing through the alley. Jonas pulled Leander closer, his heart torn. Duty screamed to arrest the man, but Serafina's plea and Leander's fear held him fast. Elowen's meeting loomed, promising answers about their father's secrets. But this moment felt like its own revelation, pulling Jonas deeper into a storm he couldn't escape. Serafina reached for Leander, but the boy flinched, clutching his backpack. "They know," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Jonas's breath caught. Who were they? And what did they know? The hooded man's eyes gleamed with malice, and Serafina's face twisted with fear. As Vanguard's growl grew louder, Jonas sensed the truth was closer than ever, hidden in the backpack, in Serafina's desperation, in a past that refused to stay buried. The alley pulsed with tension as Jonas Quillan stood between Leander Zane and the hooded man, rain blurring the edges of the night. Vanguard's growl was a low rumble, his eyes fixed on the threat, while Serafina Zane's desperate cry, "Leo, come to me," hung in the air. Jonas's heart churned, caught between his NYPD badge and Leander's terrified grip on his backpack, a relic of secrets that seemed to echo Elowen's letter about their father, Patricius Quillan. Serafina's face, pale and familiar, sparked a memory Jonas couldn't place. Had she crossed paths with his family before? "Who's they, Leo?" Jonas whispered, his voice steady despite the storm within. Leander's eyes darted to Serafina, then back to the hooded man, his small body trembling. "The people after it," he mumbled, clutching the backpack tighter. Jonas's mind flashed to Elowen, hiding their mother's locket from Patricius's rage, a secret that had bound them as kids. Was Leander's burden tied to the truth Elowen promised at tomorrow's meeting? A truth about their father's hidden life? Detective Mo Valenti's voice cut through the rain. "Jonas, you're risking everything. Call it in." Mo's flashlight wavered, his loyalty to Jonas clashing with protocol. Jonas ignored him, his gaze locked on Serafina, whose eyes held a mix of fear and defiance. She stepped closer, pleading, "Leo, give it to me." But Leander shrank back, his trust fractured. Jonas saw himself in the boy's fear, a child caught in a world too big, just as he and Elowen had been under Patricius's shadow. The hooded man lunged, his hand reaching for Leander's backpack. Vanguard sprang forward, teeth bared, forcing the man back with a curse. "You'll regret this, cop," he snarled, retreating into the rain. Jonas's hand hovered over his gun, but Serafina's cry stopped him. "Don't let them take him," she begged, her voice breaking. Her words stirred a memory, a woman's silhouette in their old queen's apartment, arguing with Patricius late at night. Was Serafina part of that past? "Leo, you're with me," Jonas said, his voice firm, pulling the boy closer. Vanguard stood guard, his loyalty unwavering, but Mo grabbed Jonas's arm. "You're throwing away your career, Quillan." "For what?" Jonas didn't answer, his thoughts on Elowen's letter, on Patricius's secrets, on Leander's fear. Serafina's gaze held a truth she wasn't sharing, a truth that felt dangerously close to Jonas's own. As the hooded man vanished into the storm, a new sound pierced the night, a car engine roaring closer. Serafina froze, her eyes wide with panic. "They're here," she whispered, clutching Leander's hand. Jonas's heart sank. Whatever Leander carried in that backpack, it was drawing danger closer, and the shadow of Patricius's past was about to break free. The alley's darkness swallowed Jonas Quillan as he gripped Leander Zane's arm, the boy's backpack a heavy anchor between them. Vanguard's ears twitched at the roar of the approaching car, his growl a steady warning. Serafina Zane's panicked whisper, "They're here," sent a chill through Jonas, her face a mask of fear that echoed Elowen's long-ago desperation under Patricius Quillan's shadow. The car's headlights pierced the rain, casting jagged beams across the alley. Jonas's mind raced. Leander's secret, Elowen's letter about their father, and now Serafina's terror felt like pieces of a puzzle he couldn't solve. Leo, what's in the bag? Jonas urged, his voice low but firm. Leander's eyes, wide with dread, flicked to Serafina, who shook her head faintly. It's important, the boy stammered, his small hands trembling. Jonas saw Elowen in his defiance, hiding their mother's locket from Patricius's wrath. The memory stung. Had Patricius's secrets reached beyond their family, entangling this boy and his mother? Elowen's promised truth, set for tomorrow's meeting, loomed larger, its weight pressing on Jonas's heart. Detective Mo Valenti stepped forward, his flashlight shaking. Jonas, we're out of time. Get the kid and go. His loyalty wavered, torn between friendship and duty. Jonas ignored him, his focus on Serafina, whose eyes held a flicker of recognition he couldn't place. Who's after you? He asked her, his Brooklyn accent thick with urgency. Serafina's lips parted, but no words came. Only a glance at Leander's backpack, as if it held her life's ruin. The car screeched to a stop, its doors slamming open. Two figures emerged, their silhouettes menacing in the rain. Give us the kid, one barked, his voice cold. Vanguard snarled, positioning himself before Leander, his loyalty a mirror of Jonas's resolve. Serafina clutched her son, her voice breaking. They know about it, Jonas. They'll kill for it. Her words hit like a blow. Did it connect to Patricius, to the truth Elowen carried? Jonas pulled Leander behind a dumpster, Vanguard at his side. Stay down, he whispered, his hand on his gun. Mo hissed, you're gonna lose your badge, Quillan. But Jonas's thoughts were on Elowen's letter, on Patricius's hidden life, on Serafina's familiarity. Had she known his father? The figures advanced, their steps deliberate, and Leander's ragged breathing filled the silence. The backpack's secret was a magnet drawing danger closer. Serafina's eyes met Jonas's, a silent plea for trust. Help us, she whispered, her voice raw. Vanguard's growl grew louder, and the figures paused, wary of the dog. Jonas's heart pounded. The truth about Patricius, about Leander's burden, was within reach, but a single choice could unravel everything. Then, a glint from the backpack caught his eye, revealing something that stopped his breath. The alley's shadows tightened around Jonas Quillan as the glint from Leander Zane's backpack burned into his eyes. A tarnished locket, half exposed, its chain tangled in the zipper. Vanguard's growl steadied Jonas, but his heart raced, recognizing the locket's shape from childhood. When Elowen hid it from their father, Patricius Quillan, Serafina Zane's desperate eyes met his, her cry, "They'll kill for it!" echoing the danger closing in. The car's headlights flared, and two figures advanced, their intent clear. Was this locket, tied to Patricius's secrets, the key Elowen's letter had promised? Leo, that locket, where'd you get it? Jonas whispered, his voice taut. Leander's small hands shook, clutching the backpack. It's Mom's, he mumbled, glancing at Serafina, whose face paled. Jonas's mind reeled, Elowen's letter, Patricius's hidden life, and now this locket linked to Serafina. Had she known their father? The memory of a woman's voice in their queen's apartment, arguing with Patricius, surged back, sharper now. Was Serafina that shadow from his past? Detective Mo Valenti's voice broke through. Jonas, they're armed. We gotta go. His flashlight trembled, loyalty warring with fear. Jonas ignored him, pulling Leander closer, Vanguard's bulk a shield. Serafina, talk to me, Jonas urged. Her eyes darted to the figures, then to the locket. It's all I have left, she whispered, her voice breaking. The words struck Jonas. Elowen had said the same about their mother's locket, a relic Patricius despised. Was this the same one? The figures shouted, "Hand over the kid!" Vanguard's snarl held them at bay, but their steps grew bolder. Jonas's hand gripped his gun, duty clashing with the need to protect Leander. Serafina's fear mirrored Elowen's as a girl, hiding from Patricius's rage. The locket's glint tied them all, Jonas, Leander, Serafina, Elowen, to a truth buried in Patricius's past. Tomorrow's meeting with Elowen loomed, But the danger here was immediate, the locket a beacon for violence. "Stay down," Jonas told Leander, his voice steady despite the chaos within. Mo grabbed his shoulder. "You're done, Quillan. This ain't worth your life." But Jonas couldn't abandon the boy, not when the locket hinted at a truth that could unravel his family's pain. Serafina's hand reached for Leander, her eyes pleading. "He's all I have," she said, her voice raw, stirring Jonas's own guilt over Elowen's absence. The figures raised their weapons, rain glinting off metal. Vanguard lunged, a blur of fur and fury, as a shot rang out. Jonas shoved Leander behind the dumpster, his heart pounding. Serafina screamed, and the locket fell from the backpack, landing in a puddle. As Jonas reached for it, a voice from the shadows, Elowen's, called his name, impossibly close. The alley erupted in chaos as the gunshot echoed, rain blurring Jonas Quillan's vision. Vanguard's snarl held the armed figures at bay, but the locket, fallen from Leander Zane's backpack, gleamed in the puddle, a tether to Patricia Quillan's buried secrets. Serafina Zane's scream, "Leo, no!" pierced the night as Jonas shielded the boy behind the dumpster. The voice calling his name, Elowen's, seemed impossible, yet it lingered, pulling Jonas toward a truth he'd avoided. Was the locket the same one Elowen hid from their father, tying Serafina to his family's past? Jonas snatched the locket, its weight heavy with memory. "Serafina, is this my mother's?" he demanded, his voice shaking. Her eyes widened, a flicker of guilt betraying her. "I knew your father," she admitted, clutching Leander. The words hit Jonas like a blow. Patricius, a man of silence and rage, had known Serafina? Elowen's letter flashed in his mind. A truth about Dad. The figures advanced, shouting, but Vanguard's bared teeth kept them back, giving Jonas a moment to process the impossible. Detective Mo Valenti grabbed Jonas's arm. "We're done, Quillan. Run." But Jonas's feet were rooted, his gaze locked on Serafina's tear-streaked face. Leander's small hand gripped his, the boy's fear mirroring Jonas's own as a child, hiding from Patricius's wrath. "They want it because of him," Serafina whispered, nodding at the locket. Jonas's heart pounded. Was this locket proof of a secret Patricius kept? One Elowen was ready to reveal tomorrow? The figures fired another shot, grazing the dumpster. Vanguard lunged, forcing them to retreat, but their threats lingered. "Give us the kid, or you're all dead." Jonas pulled Leander closer, the locket burning in his hand. Serafina's voice cracked. "Patricius gave it to me before he died." The revelation shook Jonas. His father, a man he thought he knew, had a connection to this woman, this boy. Was Leander more than a stranger? Jonas's mind raced, piecing together fragments. Elowen's letter, Serafina's fear, the locket's familiar weight. Had Patricius hidden a life, a betrayal, that linked them all? Mo's desperate plea, "Jonas, move," faded as Jonas faced Serafina. "What did my father do?" he asked, his voice raw. Her eyes, heavy with guilt, held answers she couldn't voice. Leander's trembling hand tightened, his backpack still a mystery. The car's engine roared again, headlights sweeping the alley. Vanguard stood firm, but Jonas felt the truth closing in, a truth that could shatter his world. Serafina's gaze shifted to Leander, her whisper barely audible, "He's your brother's son." The words froze Jonas, the locket slipping from his hand. As Elowen's silhouette appeared at the alley's edge, her eyes wide with shock. The alley was a crucible of rain and revelation as Jonas Quillan stood frozen. Serafina Zane's words, "He's your brother's son," echoing in his ears. Leander Zane clung to his backpack, the locket's glint a beacon of Patricia Quillan's hidden life. Elowen Starrett stepped from the shadows, her eyes wide with shock, meeting Jonas's gaze. Vanguard's growl softened, sensing the shift from danger to truth. The armed figures retreated as sirens wailed, drawn by the gunfire, but Jonas's world narrowed to Leander, Serafina, and Elowen, the family he'd lost and found. "Brother," Jonas whispered, his voice raw. Elowen nodded, tears mixing with rain. Patricius had a son with her, she said, gesturing to Serafina. The locket, their mother's, had been Patricius's gift to Serafina. A secret affair buried in shame. Leander, their half-brother's child, was family. Jonas's heart cracked. Patricius's silence, his rage, hid a betrayal that fractured them all. Elowen's letter, her return, was to reveal this truth, to heal the wounds of their past. Serafina clutched Leander, her voice breaking. I kept him safe, Jonas, for Patricius. The backpack held letters, photos, proof of a life Jonas never knew. His father's double life had left Leander vulnerable, pursued by those seeking to erase Patricius's secrets. Jonas saw Elowen's pain, her years of silence carrying this burden alone. He'd abandoned his mission, his badge, to protect Leander, and now he understood why. Family, not duty, was his true calling. Elowen stepped closer, her hand trembling as she touched Jonas's arm. I should have told you sooner, she said, her voice heavy with regret. Jonas's anger at her absence melted, replaced by shared grief. Leander's eyes, so like Patricius's, held no blame, only hope. Vanguard nudged the boy, a silent promise of protection. The sirens grew louder, and Mo Valenti appeared, his face softening. You did good, Quillan, he said, accepting Jonas's choice. Jonas knelt before Leander, the locket in his hand. You're safe now, Leo, he said, his voice steady. Serafina wept, pulling her son close. The truth of Patricius's life, his flaws, his love, freed them all. Jonas and Elowen exchanged a look, their bond reborn through forgiveness. Leander's small hand gripped Jonas's, a new family forged in the rain-soaked alley. Vanguard stood tall, the guardian of their fragile hope. As the police swarmed, Jonas felt a weight lift. He'd lost his badge, but gained a nephew, a sister, a truth that redefined his life. The locket, once a secret, now bound them together. In the heart of New York, under a clearing sky, Jonas knew he'd protected his lion cub, and the reason family would echo forever.